Let today mark one of the most notable days in the history of Louisiana politics, as well as mixed martial arts. Normally, these two worlds never meet. Today, the worlds of MMA and politics come crashing together in spectacular fashion. I hereby challenge David Vitter to a duel of honor. 3 rounds in a mixed martial arts fight in the cage at the Cajun Dome, October 16th, USA MMA's Return of the Champions event. In early America, when a politician insulted the honor of another, a duel was in order. Consider this challenge a modern-day duel. Senator Vitter's behavior, his admission of breaking the law in 2007, has insulted the honor of Louisiana and Louisiana's Senate seat. I'm in this race, I'm in this fight to restore the honor of Louisiana and of the nation as well. It's time we, the American people, once again require honor and integrity from the men and the women who serve in public office. According to the art of manliness, duels were an essential part of the political landscape in early America. Refusing a challenge to duel would effectively end a man's political career. Let me repeat that. Refusing a challenge to duel would effectively end a man's political career. Dueling proved to a man's constituents that he had the requisite honor, courage, and leadership to represent them in Washington. This fight will symbolize the epic battle between the American people and the out-of-control, tyrannical federal government, and the reckless politicians at the helm. In the U.S. Senate race, Senator Vitter has been hiding behind his $7 million campaign war chest. I'm calling him out from behind the safety of his campaign fund, from the sanctuary of the Republican Party, and the sanctuary of the special interests that fund his campaign. Will Senator Vitter have the courage to step out into the open, to go 3 rounds mano a mano, to defend his honor? The people of Louisiana have been battered, bruised, and bloodied by a faltering economy, a massive national debt, $1 trillion corporate welfare payouts, a disregard of the Constitution, and a bullying of the states, including Louisiana, with this ridiculous drilling moratorium. It's outright theft and tyranny. Vitters paraded up and down the Louisiana coast, appeared on every local TV broadcast who will have him, and who will have him from Fox to CNN, boasting about how he's fighting for Louisiana and fighting this moratorium. Yet he's been unable to do anything to stop the moratorium. Senator Vitter has proposed 95 bills in his 6 years in the Senate. Not one of those bills was passed. He's ineffective, and he's done nothing for Louisiana. Vitter says he's fighting for Louisiana. I say he's fighting for his job, if he's fighting for anything. It's extraordinary to me the senator was able to raise more than $7 million for his campaign fund, but was unable to pass one bill he sponsored. To add insult to injury, the senator has solicited campaign donations from every corner of the state, but has yet to contribute $1 of his own money. Senator Vitter, meet me in the cage, and together we'll engage in a modern-day duel, mano a mano. After 3 rounds, you'll understand how the American people feel, and how America's small business owners feel. It's time for the American people to fight back. I entered this race and this cage fight because I'm willing to stand up and fight for the people of Louisiana and this great nation. I'm not a politician, and I have no interest in being politically correct. I am of the people and for the people. I'm here to knock out the status quo, to choke out corruption in Washington, to take down political correctness. Louisiana needs a champ in Washington, not a chump. Someone willing to get battered, bruised, and bloody in a fight to restore the power to the people, to restore honor to Washington, to restore fidelity to the Constitution, and to restore this great nation to one nation under God. Gil, you want to talk a little bit about what happens if he doesn't show up or doesn't accept the challenge?
Well, what's going to happen is if he does not accept the challenge, of course, Mike has come forward and said that he's actually going to fulfill his obligation to stay in the cage and actually fight for the honor of this area, the people of Louisiana. He will fight nonetheless. He will participate in a combative sporting competition at the event to an opponent that will be named later. We're hoping that Mr. Mike Vitter will accept this challenge. However, if he doesn't, Mike Spears will honor his agreement, his obligation. He will step into the cage and he will fight against a trained fighter. Mike will train from now for the next 6 weeks to take part in this event. He will go through the same type of training that I go through, that Tim Prater goes through, that all of our fighters go through. And this is the modern equivalent of what gladiators in ancient days went through. There's no quarter given, none asked during training. He'll be put through the most physically demanding training of any professional athlete in the world. So Mike will honor his obligation and he will participate and fight on the event regardless of whether Mike Vitter or not shows up or not. David Vitter shows up or not, excuse me. But the challenge is there. David Vitter, please accept the challenge. Thank you.
Okay, questions? Not so fast, not so fast.
I'm out of energy.
You're out of shape now.
Yeah. This is true.
Obviously, you've given this whole challenge a lot of thought.
Right.
Do you really think that Vitter would accept something like this?
Well, I hope he would. You know, he is a remarkable intellect. I know right now he's got that letter in his hand because I sent him a challenge letter that should have been there by 3 o'clock. And so I know he's trying to figure out how to handle this. And I hope he shows, but I think it's unlikely. He generally avoids things where there's no upside.
Mr. Spears, you mentioned in your speech that if back in the day a political candidate were to turn down a duel, it would be the end of their career in politics. But did you know that Abraham Lincoln was once challenged to a duel and turned it down and said that physical fighting isn't the high road by any means? How do you respond to that?
Well, Andrew Jackson was quick to defend his honor. He was fiery, and we know of at least 13 duels that he was in. While I love Abraham Lincoln, and I have a great respect for that president, one of my favorite presidents, you know, I think that the issue is accountability. And nobody's holding Washington accountable. I mean, what's happened there is this man admitted to breaking the law, and yet no one held him accountable. Not the Senate, nobody. So I think as a people, we got to figure out how to hold him accountable, how to do it. And for me, this idea came up, and I think this is a great way to bring the issue of accountability to the forefront and try and hold the senator accountable for what he's done.
And also, please don't forget that Abraham Lincoln was an accomplished grappler and boxer in his time. He believed, and I know that was later in life that he made that quote. He did believe that a man's honor should be defended at all times. And he was an excellent fighter. Excellent fighter.
How would you respond to the argument that this is simply a political publicity stunt to try to drum up attention to your campaign?
I'd say that's ridiculous. Well, seriously, of course it is. I mean, David Vitter has $7 million. Charlie Malonzo has $3 million. So yeah, we have to figure out how to run an unconventional campaign. And you know what? Our message is consistent with this challenge. You know, we're talking about taking back this nation, fighting to take back this nation. So of course, this is a publicity stunt. I mean, this is a way to get some coverage, but it's also a way to bring to the front the issue of accountability and the struggle that Americans have right now to take back control of their country, to feel like they have a voice in Washington.
You talked about honor. Why is this the way to do it? To duke it out or in the cage?
Honestly, I've tried to think of other ways to do it. In public debates, last night we had a forum in New Orleans, and the rules don't really promote accountability there. Basically, you're asked a question, you get to answer it. And politicians have become so good at spinning things that we never really know what the truth is. So let's take it to very basic, simple terms. Let's get down in the ring. Let's defend the honor. If I call you out, if a man calls another man out, I think it's an honorable way to handle it this way. I mean, that thinking comes from the fight world. You'll be surprised how many fighters have a tremendous amount of respect for their opponents and for for MMA and fighting itself. So yeah, it's a little far-fetched, and I'm certainly not encouraging people to begin dueling one another. But I think we have to do something pretty extreme to right the ship in this country, to return Washington and the people who serve us to an institution we can respect, we can trust, and one that's made of integrity, men and women of integrity.
So you don't want Charlie Malone in there?
You can step up too, right?
Well, I don't know. Charlie's a little older than David Vitter. I don't know how old, but Charlie hasn't. Let me say this: Charlie hasn't offended my sensibilities in the way that David Vitter has. I sat next to Charlie Malone last night, and it was a very pleasant experience. And I just can't imagine myself fighting with Charlie Malone.
Everybody, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for
Appreciate it.
coming, guys.
Thank you very much.